My name is Cecilia Portillo Pado, and I'm director-producer of a film having its North American premiere at South by Southwest in the Vision section.
I am Paula Arroyo, one of the other producers.
This film has been 6 years in the making, and it was at the beginning of COVID when Paula and I sort of had this bit of a arranged marriage through a common friend, like an anthropologist. And she introduced us and she said, like, maybe you can work together at some point. And then Paula called me and she said, I really want to work with you. We didn't know each other very well. I said, yeah, let's take a leap of faith. And I think we were all in our homes, very uncertain about what was going to come, what was going to happen to the world, and all the unexpected things. And then I started reading a lot of science fiction in order to, understand the world that was coming. And then I've always been a fan of this writer, Ursula Le Guin, who talks about the carrier bag. She has this beautiful essay about how we can tell stories that are more carrier bags than lines and than arrows. And then there was this, what would a carrier bag story look like? And then suddenly it coincided with mushrooms kind of being everywhere. Like they were the new medicine. It was either psilocybin or mushroom stalk, all these headlines. And then we thought there was like a missing component in those headlines, which was the woman that have a relationship with mushrooms and have had them for many years.
We were looking kind of for stories looking for a different relationship with humans and nature. So yeah, that's what we were like kind of work on.
And then we started approaching it from the science perspective. So we approached some doctors at a college called Colegio Postgraduados. And so it was through it was all Zoom at the beginning. And it was through the scientists that they revealed that they had some students in different communities. And it was that node that took us to the community. And there was a long relationship of building trust. But it was basically the scientists who opened the doors for us. Something that was very critical for us is there always had to be consent. During the process, Lis and Juli were very involved in the making of the movie. They saw the movie very early on. They saw cuts of it. Like they saw it throughout. There were conversations about what could be in the movie, what couldn't be in the movie. But there was always this, how they say that the mushroom, when you're foraging it, you have to touch it to liberate the spores. Yes. There has to be this reciprocity. You can't just take and not give back. That's how we approached it. They're co-producers in the movie. Lis is here with us now. Juli is in Copenhagen with the other producer.
The towns that we work with, it's not like the individuals, also it's a collective and community. So we always had to go to the community and tell them what we're going to do, and then really respectfully, like telling our project. So it is not just a part of an individual story, it's also a story of a collective.
We believe that in the newer generation, there was this as well touch with other technologies, in a way with science, and that science and the ancestral thing that your grandmothers can give you, they're not in fight with each other. In fact, they could complement each other very well. And I think that's how we envision the possibilities of redefining the future, is not just thinking about the future without the past, but integrating the past into an understanding of what the future might hold for us.
I think it's really important for us, we do have an option to having another future, that the one that is now for us.
Then the whole experience itself lasts 8 or 9 hours. But we didn't film that. We decided to film the beginning and then just basically through cinematography try to portray what she was going through inside. There was a long conversation of the things she saw, but it's never told. We allow the spectator to make their own conclusions and connections. So we kind of filmed a part of it, and then through a conversation of her narration, we weaved together these images so that people left more with a sensation rather than with something that your reason can understand.
Also, it was very important to let her have her own journey on this ceremony, so we respect that.
Well, I think it's hard to tell a story that has to do with mushroom without touching on death and loss. So Of course, there's loss in the movie. There's loss of a territory. There's loss in a greater sense. The loss of a territory, the loss of a language, the loss of a culture, and the loss of our elders. And with them, the loss of a knowledge, and in this case, a language, and so an understanding of the world. So, for example, we thought that this little fragile world that we wanted to create, which is very immersive, we wanted you to understand that it's so fragile. Like, there's all these forces, but like the fear of extinction can't be the thing that defines us.
In these days, we're talking about a lot about climate change as a general thing, but in this story, we tell the climate change like through a really small, in a small community, in a small family. So it makes like little samples make how it is happening.
It was kind of really difficult. How do you capture the forest? No, it was always the conversation. How do you capture it as a living, breathing thing that all these things are happening at once? So it was a long process. It was conversations with the DP. We filmed through many years. Another challenge is we only could film in the rainy season, and that's when the body of the mushroom appears. Otherwise, it's the mycelium, but it's quite invisible. Understanding the language of the film, where everything is they're not digital. I mean, they're integrated digitally, but they're all physical. Even the little particle, like roaming around, is something that we physically filmed on set. So just discovering how to portray the forest in a very different way with a different perspective was challenging, but we had good collaborators.
During the shooting, those forests are in danger. So we were really like kind of surrounded by illegal logging. So we do need to care about it. So sometimes we need to move to film in another forest because we were like not secured. So it was hard to feel that we were surrounded by danger.
For me, the most exciting thing is that someone can reflect themselves on these stories that might seem so different from themselves. And the possibility of just thinking that there's more in common with the other that we think at a time when it's so polarized and where everything is trying to divide us. I thought if we can leave behind something that, I share this with this person in common, even though they're in a completely removed area. And there are possibilities for myself regarding loss and to readapt in my life. I think that would be something that we would love if the audience can engage with that.
I would think that the possibility of to relate in a different way with the other, it means like other human beings or other
animals,
plants, rocks. So there's a totally different way to relate with them. So I would love to feel like there's a different way.
Nada se podrá rescatar sin que no se tenga conocimiento de él. Nadie puede amar lo que no conoce.